So we've just cancelled ICE and our event definitely
It's not happening.
We've got no more classes now.
Yep, no more classes.
We are officially detained from going to university.
With coronavirus, it affected our graduate show because we were meant to do a physical show and now we're not. We've gone digital, and in a sense, because we're all digital natives, it doesn't scare us, but at the same time we're still a little bit sad that we didn't get to do it the way that everyone else done it. But in a sense also, it's new. We're being pioneers by trying something that I don't think really has been done before in these circumstances.
As Executive Creative Director, it's my job to make sure that this show runs smoothly. And with a class with people who have such strong characters and strong opinions, you know, it never really was gonna run smoothly. But I don't think anyone in our class expected the challenges we were going to face.
Our graduate show, we started planning since January. We had the venue, we had all these amazing ideas, and it just came crashing down on us when we had to cancel it.
It was really difficult, especially since we were so close to the finish line. We were months away from the end of the term and just months away from our graduation. We had so many plans set for the next couple of months. We had so many things we wanted to do that we won't be able to do the way we wanted anymore.
I never anticipated this was going to be my last year of my degree. None of us knew this would happen in the last semester. These are some unprecedented times that nobody expected.
University was already hard considering it's our third year and it's graduation, so everything we do is so important. But since this pandemic hit, it's become 100 times harder to submit in work, to even do work. I felt that we had no motivation at all.
It was kind of like a pop, like a dream just popping, an illusion popping, because we worked so hard these past, 3-4 years. Graduation is a celebration, a passage of life. It's a milestone that we've achieved, that we've accomplished, and to have that taken away from us was really hard. It's just tough to process that and to accept it is tough.
Graduating in a pandemic, it's been challenging on many levels, from ceasing our classes and how we had to move everything into the online environment.
We couldn't have that ending in which everybody had wanted or thought about. It was a case of we had to do it for people's safety.
Thankfully, the university have been amazing. They've assured us that we will get a graduation ceremony at some point, so that's all sorted. I know I'm going to get my degree, and I've really appreciated how far the university have actually gone to support us during this time. Not just as the whole student body as a whole, but as us as individuals. They've reached out to us to try and support us for our student show in any way they can.
So what am I doing to help students succeed? Obviously, this is something that took us all incredibly by surprise. But one of the things I think that's most important in terms of providing student support is kind of spending a little bit more time one-to-one. Normally, I spend a lot of time with students, but usually we do so as a group. And I think in this particular time period, having solo conversations and a little bit more support that way is really, really important. It's not as good as the real thing, but it definitely helps kind of stay connected with what's happening both professionally and academically, but also personally. And it also keeps me from going crackers, my tutorials. So definitely one-to-one kind of things. More than probably other courses or maybe other disciplines, we were able to go online very quickly and easily, in part because our industry is very adaptive digitally, in part because our course is also very digitally focused, but generally too because my students are rock stars and they are very adaptive. What challenges are my students facing? Not being able to do things, life milestones like graduation. How can that not affect your mental health? How can that not affect your motivation? Part of the reason why we go get degrees is to have that cap and gown. But obviously in thinking about what challenges my students are facing, I'd say mental health. There's all the obvious things of sometimes, not being able to go back to the library to get books to finish up some major project stuff. That's probably a lesser extent than worrying about mental health. And I think, like many people in lockdown, this is a significant challenge to people's level of anxiety, depression, and, graduating from university, no matter what, is an anxious time. So I definitely think that, this has affected students in terms of that. But again, I can't say enough that my students have demonstrated remarkable resilience. If there's anybody that's going to get through this, it's them.
Like literally right now, all I can think about is this virus going to affect my grades? Is this virus going to affect our university? Our later education? Is this virus going to affect our graduation that we've all been waiting for? Like literally, we don't know. Is it going to affect our future? Right now, all we're doing is sitting there on the news, Sky News, BBC notifications. That's all I can look at, just thinking what's going to happen next.
Mostly affected me mentally, because everything changed so much from what everybody was used to, so I kind of fell apart. And for me, the best decision I decided to do is go back home. And I went back home to Bulgaria, so that's a good thing for me. I'm much happier here, and I think if I didn't go back home, I would probably be crazy by now.
Just finished work. They're really not getting easier. I'm absolutely exhausted, mentally, physically. Muscles are aching. The team doesn't know when it's going to get any easier. Every day is like a new battle, but the same one. And this virus isn't taking a day off, and well, neither are we.
At the beginning, no one knew what was going on, and that was the worst part of it. No one was giving any answers, the government wasn't saying anything, lecturers didn't know what was happening, we didn't know what was happening. Was some of us gonna have to go home? Was some of us gonna have to leave our degree? Could we even complete our degree? There was really no answers there.
I think the one that has affected me personally most is the fact that we're not allowed to go to the library anymore. I've been just going to the library every time I need to get something done. It's a place that helps me concentrate, and also I can find my resources a lot faster. So now how we had to go through finishing our major project without going to the library, it's been quite a challenge to motivate myself well enough to be able to do all these things from home, because it's been quite difficult to find all the information that I needed for it in the online environment instead of having the books, which makes it a lot easier.
Let me tell you a little secret. I had COVID, and it was not a fun experience. I don't know how I managed to contract it. I was super careful, I wasn't even going out. It's a different experience for everyone, and what I had, I am very, very thankful. It was not as bad as so many other people I know. I've known so many people, my neighbours have had it. One of my local counsellors died from it. Suddenly all my taste and smell was gone for at least nearly 2 weeks, and it stayed with me for a while. I was tired all the time. I couldn't really do anything. My head hurt too much.
Since the whole pandemic thing hit, I've been working more at Tesco rather than actually concentrating on uni work. Because everything got cancelled, shut down, I took it a bit hard, and I just decided to work more. I can get around the fact that we wasn't ending the way that I wanted to.
The biggest impact it had on me was that I'm an international student and I had to travel back home. I had to leave London behind and go back to Bahrain. I had to adjust to the time differences in order to attend all my online classes on time.
It really started to get harder to see the light at the end of the tunnel. For my own mental health, I'm scared. I have so much anxiety for the future. I don't know what's gonna happen. Even if we do get a job, and that's a huge if, we get a job at the end of this, are we getting a job into a government that has one of the biggest recessions ever? You know, what's the future going to look like?
I think one of the craziest thing is the fact that I live 10 minutes away from the Nightingale Hospital, which they put up for COVID-19 patients. And it's really crazy because I've been in denial for so long that this situation isn't real. And when I heard the news, it really hit me and it became more real to me.
But my mother, she had it much worse. And she had it for a good 13 days. She's not the healthiest of people, bless her. And I just watched her be in pure agony for days. And there was nothing I could do. But I thank my lucky stars. She pulled through. Sorry. Yeah, I thank my lucky stars.
At the beginning of COVID, I was really unwell, and I remember for 2 or 3 weeks I was just in bed. I had fever, I was coughing, I was in so much pain, my body was like hurting and aching. I was having difficult breathing. It was like a cold, and it was just horrible. I was feeling really unwell, like something was wrong. So I went to emergency once my temperature started reaching like the 39 upwards. The first feeling you feel when you reach there is fear, even though you've got the gloves on and everything, but not just fear from the patients, fear from the doctors and the nurses. You know, they are risking their lives every single day. The NHS is risking their lives every single day just to be there to look after people who are ill, whether they have COVID, whether they don't have COVID, they don't know. The whole hospital was covered in plastic inside. The emergency was covered in plastic. Beds were like separated. There weren't as many beds anymore. And I got like blood tested. They didn't find any COVID. However, it does say in my report possibly COVID because the symptoms were quite severe, which is why it was very difficult later on to get treated. I knew it wasn't COVID. I just felt it wasn't. I felt there was something going on. But when the blood test came back, they said, "Oh, you have a bacterial infection in your blood." After, I kid you not, a week of trying to get tested or get something, because my fever wasn't going down, the pain was not stopping, I was super weak, and they took a whole week just to get me an appointment to get scanned. There are a certain amount of doctors available for you, and those certain amount of doctors, you know, there are patients in more higher risk. There are patients that that have bigger things to deal with, and that's where they have to like limit, which is sad.
When it hit, class morale just went straight down the floor. Mental health levels went through the roof. No one knew what we were doing, and we were all just sat there thinking, what in the hell is going on? Days or even weeks went by where one-on-one it just felt there was a new challenge we ought to face.
I think the ultimate challenge throughout this period for all of us was to motivate ourselves well enough to still do everything in the best way possible, because it's our final year and we need to show this through our work. So I think that overall it's been challenging, but also it has been a period that has helped us prove our true potential, because we have gone through it and we have made it in the best way possible.
We're still seeing how this plays out. I mean, firstly, COVID has led to all businesses, but particularly communications agencies, moving to a more virtual format. So that's not just in terms of how obviously people are having to work, but also types of content that are being created. It's been very challenging for film production, our film team, for example, because clearly they can't go out on shoots, and a lot of the content is now being user generated, and there are a lot of challenges in that. I think we're going to see much more hybrid activity. We're going to see much more activity utilising the benefit of digital platforms, be that in terms of how people work and the use of office space, right through to how we communicate. So events, for example, when in real life activity comes back, we will see more use of digital platforms, more combination of technologies, and I think that will lead to interesting creative opportunities. We're going to see a greater focus on strategic content. I think what's been interesting through the COVID crisis is that people have had to react quickly, and the conversations have been much more about platforms. So what platforms you use, whether it's for conversations like this on a Zoom, or whether it's to deliver a meeting or an event, or actually to share content broad scale. What will happen though is that people will soon get over and realise that the platform isn't everything, it's more about the content. The rise of e-commerce is going to continue, and we're going to see something interesting, I think, as people are allowed out again.
The lockdown was initially imposed, it sent a shockwave through the entire industry. Everything was shut down. So it was really one of those things where you stop and think, what do we do next? So it really forced industry to kind of think outside the box and to find ways to be creative. I think it took some time. You know, you have, with anything, you have to take time to deal with an initial shock. Take a step back and think, and then strategize, and you need that opportunity. And you also have to think about, you know, what would the future look like, for example, if we're still in this situation, even to a small degree, how do we adapt? Industry is really starting to find out what they can do to move forward, and also how they can try and thrive in this new status quo, which, you know, initially probably won't be easy and it will be really slow, but there are opportunities there. Or a lot of people, I should say, had Netflix. I think some people who didn't have Amazon Prime now have Amazon Prime. It turned out, I think it was an excellent time for Disney Plus to launch, especially with children being home. So people really turned to streaming services, and I think even with home entertainment and digital releases, there was a real success there. You know, and kind of the opportunity to capture that market that can't go anywhere. You know, the Cannes Film Festival, they had to cancel, obviously, but they're trying to kind of have a virtual market, which means that it's mainly for industry and maybe key press who can participate. But at least you're finding a way where industry can still continue these conversations, you know, pitch and sell films, and you can find a way where once this is all over, you're still running.
I think one thing which was so important for us that when our actual event got cancelled was we had already started fundraising and we had this money but nothing to do with it. So we were all very quick to say that we wanted to give it away, we wanted to go to charity, and that's what led us to start funding for the Ealing Food Bank. Now, the Ealing Food Bank is a local food bank for our university. We'd seen them before, they work with our university multiple times, so we felt they were a good company that we could raise money for in such a hard time, because they're really doing a lot right now. They're still active, so please look at our GoFundMe and support us. We'd really appreciate if we can send something to them and thank them.
The way the creative team adapted to this new environment, this new situation, was making sure that the website had all the detail on every student. So that would be work throughout the last 3 years, things that made them desirable to industry professionals. Initially, the website was just supposed to be used as an information page for our physical event. So details such as when the event was, where the venue was, and just little things like that. But after we cancelled our show, the website became so relevant and so important to us. Our website is the online show, it's our graduate show. As the person responsible for actually making the website and making a documentary, it was really difficult because I struggled a lot, mainly because I've never made a website and I've never made a documentary, so this was a whole new challenge for me. We knew that our website wasn't enough to showcase our skills and everything we've learned throughout the 3 years, so we implemented other elements such as a 3D exhibition and a documentary.
Another way that I adapted in my team was with outreach, was reaching out to publications to gain earned media. So for instance, reaching out to Campaign, PR Week, The Drum, and trying to get our voice out there, because right now obviously there is so much noise with coronavirus and what's going on with it 24/7. It's difficult to try and find a way to stand out.
One thing I'd like to touch upon is the fact that at the beginning, when we were actually going to do a live event, as in like a physical event, we weren't going to use social media. We were going to use the power of the hashtag, but social media was kind of secondary to all the other aspects that were going to come included to the physical event. After the COVID breakdown and after we got told that we couldn't host this event anymore, and we went online, that's when we decided as a group to create a social media presence. So teams, for example, like the sponsorship team or the fundraising team, those had to get let go. Those teams had to let go, which is a shame, because we were really excited about doing a physical event. However, though, due to the circumstances, social media came out, and yeah, so I'm a social media team leader, and I have an amazing team full of people, even though everybody is collaborating and making this happen. So most of the time I am like this in front of my desk, and that's just me working. And it's all about coming together as a class and adapting to the changes that we face and the challenges that we face, and it's really important for all of us to get this right.
So I think one of the challenges that I faced when becoming a social media team leader was I didn't realize how much work that would entail. The fact of having to produce and deliver content almost every single day while also finishing my other assessments, my other assignments. But now I'm in a much better place. The content we're producing is amazing. I'm so happy with the class. Everybody's super delivering their best. Everybody's giving so much more ideas. Like the ideas coming out of the class are just amazing. Being a team leader, even though it's exciting and it was exciting and it's super fun, it's also really tough because there's this very thin line of being nice and polite and doing everything yourself and then asking people to do what they have to do or being told without sounding bossy.
The online exhibit was really just a way for us to be able to show our work. Because we can't do a physical show, we had to try and do it digitally. It was actually my lecturer Dennis who said, oh, there's this cool 3D exhibit. So I was like, oh cool, I'll check it out. And I started working on it, and it's gone really well. It's VR based, which is cool, show our tech side, but it wasn't easy to do. It was quite hard to try and figure out and try and get the content for, and there's still always a few things that need to be changed or need to be edited, but for the most part it has sort of filled some sort of hole we had from not having the show. I'm very grateful that I'm in a university that understands and are very supportive with these type of things. I don't think I would have had the motivation without the help from my lecturers or the university backing us.
We will move forward, we will graduate, or maybe it'll be a little bit later than we planned. We will get our jobs, and you know what, we're gonna get on with our careers that we also very much deserve and have worked really hard towards.
I think one quote which sums up our whole experience is from John F. Kennedy. He says, "Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or the present are certain to miss the future." And I think that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to take a hold of our future and make something good out of this bad situation.